The human envoy arrived at the Imperial Hall exactly on time. He walked alone. The doors of living crystal opened with a low hum, and every eye inside the chamber turned toward him. The alien nobles stood in wide circles, their robes glowing softly with color-shifting patterns that showed rank and mood. At the highest platform sat the princess of the Aurelian Empire, her posture relaxed, her expression already bored. The human looked very different from everyone else in the room. He was tall, broad, and completely covered in heavy gray armor. The plates were thick and scratched, not smooth like Aurelian biosuits. Cables ran along his arms. Dark metal sealed his chest, shoulders, legs, and even his neck. Only a narrow visor showed where his eyes might be. He looked more like a walking machine than a diplomat. A soft ripple of amusement moved through the hall. The princess leaned forward slightly and let out a quiet laugh. It was not cruel at first, just curious, almost playful. "So this is the human representative?" she said, her voice clear and sharp. "I expected less metal." Some of the nobles chuckled. A few warriors exchanged looks of mild interest, but none seemed impressed. The human stopped at the center of the chamber. He stood straight, boots planted firmly against the smooth floor. He did not bow too deeply, nor did he look around nervously. He simply inclined his head in respectful greeting. "I am Captain Elias Rourke," he said through the armor's speaker. His voice was calm, steady, and controlled. "I speak for the Terran Coalition." The princess tilted her head, studying him. "That armor," she said, gesturing lazily with one hand. "Is it ceremonial? Or do humans truly fear standing exposed?" More laughter followed, louder this time. Elias did not react. He did not tighten his fists or shift his weight. If the words bothered him, nothing showed. "It is standard issue," he replied. "I wear it because I am required to." "Required?" the princess repeated, amused. "How interesting." "Among my people, only the weak hide behind shells. Our warriors trust their bodies." She rose from her seat and descended the steps with graceful ease. Her own armor was alive, grown from biocrystal that flowed smoothly along her form. It shimmered like liquid light and responded to her movements as if it were part of her skin. She stopped a few steps away from Elias, close enough to examine him clearly. "You look uncomfortable in that thing," she said. "Slow. Heavy. How can your species fight while wrapped like cargo?" Elias met her gaze, or rather, he faced her directly, visor unmoving. "We fight just fine," he said. The princess smiled, but there was sharpness behind it. "Then tell me, human," she said. "Is that armor meant to protect you from us?" A silence fell. The nobles leaned in slightly. This was no longer idle teasing. This was a challenge. Elias took a moment before answering. When he spoke again, his tone remained even. "No," he said. "It is not." The princess raised an eyebrow. "Then why wear it at all?" Elias paused again, just long enough to make the moment stretch. "Because," he said, "this is not a place for demonstrations." That answer only amused her more. "How disappointing," she said. "I had hoped humans might be entertaining." She turned and began walking back toward her throne, clearly losing interest. But one of the Imperial warriors spoke up. "Your Highness," the warrior said, "our scanners are struggling to read the human." That caught her attention. She stopped and glanced over her shoulder.
"Explain." "The armor interferes with our sensors," the warrior said carefully. "But even through it, his biological readings are unusual."
The princess frowned slightly. "Unusual how?" the warrior hesitated. "Dense. Stable. Powerful. More than expected for a species of their size." Murmurs spread through the chamber again, this time quieter, more uncertain. The princess turned fully back to Elias. "You see?" she said lightly. "Even your own body seems to admit you need protection." Elias said nothing. She walked back to him slowly, her expression shifting from playful to thoughtful.
"I have studied humans," she continued. "Low gravity worlds.
Short lifespans, endless internal conflict. You survive by numbers and machines, not by strength." She stopped directly in front of him.
"So forgive me if I find your armor excessive."
For the first time, Elias moved. Not aggressively, not threateningly. He simply raised his hand and placed it over the center of his armored chest. "Princess," he said, "may I speak freely?" She smiled. "That is what you are here for. Humans do not wear armor because we are weak," Elias said.
"We wear it because we learned what happens when we forget restraint."
That made her laugh again, though it was softer this time. "Restraint?" she echoed. "What a strange word to use." Elias lowered his hand. "Our history is long," he continued.
"Longer than we like to remember. We built weapons faster than wisdom."
"We hurt each other before we learned how not to." The princess waved dismissively. "Every species tells itself such stories." "Perhaps," Elias said. "But not every species survived them." That gave her pause. She studied him again, more carefully now. "If that armor is not protection," she said slowly, "then what is it?" Elias answered without hesitation. "It is a boundary." The chamber grew very quiet. "A boundary," she repeated. "Between what and what?" "Between what I could do," Elias said, "and what I choose not to." The princess felt a strange chill move through her. She straightened and turned away, hiding the feeling. "Interesting words," she said. "But words are cheap."
She raised her voice slightly so all could hear. "Humans request alliance," she said.
"Yet they arrive wrapped in metal and philosophy. How are we to trust a species that will not even show its own skin?" The nobles murmured in agreement. Elias remained still. "You doubt our sincerity," he said. "I doubt your honesty," the princess replied. "And I doubt your strength." She turned sharply and pointed toward the training arena visible through the transparent wall of the hall. "Tomorrow," she said, "you will demonstrate. Not with weapons." "Not with machines, just you."
Elias inclined his head again. "As you wish."
She looked surprised.
"No." "Hesitation?" she asked. "No," he said.
"And if I demand you remove the armor?" she added. Elias paused. "For safety reasons," he said. "That decision is not mine alone." The princess smiled thinly. "Then perhaps humans are not as free as they pretend." Elias did not argue. The meeting ended soon after. Formal words were exchanged, but the tone had shifted. What began as mockery had turned into curiosity, and something closer to caution. As Elias walked back through the long corridors of the palace, his internal systems sent quiet alerts, environmental readings, psychological stress markers, all normal, but his thoughts were not. He remembered the looks, the laughter, the way they saw the armor and assumed fear. Humans had seen that look before. Back on Earth, in the early days, when steel first met flesh, when strength without control nearly ended them. The armor was heavy, yes, but it was familiar. It reminded him of training grounds under red suns, of instructors who said the same words again and again. "You are not strong because you can destroy," they said. "You are strong because you can stop." Elias reached his quarters and stood still for a moment before removing his helmet. The air felt cool against his skin. Tomorrow, the princess would ask him to prove himself. Tomorrow, she would see more than metal. And whether she was ready or not, the truth would no longer be hidden. Morning light filtered through the high crystal windows of the Imperial Training Complex. The light was not from a sun, but from a controlled star core far above the city, designed to imitate a perfect day. Everything about the Aurelian capital was controlled, measured, and elegant. Captain Elias Rourke walked through the wide corridor toward the arena, his heavy footsteps echoing softly. His armor made the sound dull and steady. Servants and guards moved aside as he passed. Some stared openly. Others avoided looking at him at all. Word had already spread. The human would be tested. In a private observation chamber overlooking the arena, the princess stood with her advisors. She watched Elias approach from above, her expression unreadable. "He walks like a war engine," one advisor said, quietly. "Confident, but not aggressive. Or trained to hide fear," another replied. The princess said nothing. Her eyes followed the human closely. She remembered his words from the previous day. A boundary, restraint. Concepts that still felt strange. The arena itself was vast. The floor was made of reinforced adaptive material, able to absorb extreme force. Training constructs stood inactive along the edges. Tall mechanical frames built to react and fight like elite soldiers. They were not toys. Even seasoned Aurelian warriors respected them. Elias stopped at the center of the arena. Above him, the princess activated the public channel. "Human," she said, her voice echoing clearly. "You stand before the Aurelian court once more." "I do," Elias replied. "You are invited here as a diplomat," she continued.
"But you have raised questions about your species, about your armor, about your intentions."
Elias remained still. "Today," she said, "you will answer those questions." She gestured, and several Aurelian warriors entered the arena. They wore light combat suits and carried energy staves, set to training output, but still dangerous.
"These are not executioners," the princess said. "They are my guards."
"You will not be harmed unless you force their hand." Elias inclined his head. Understood. A pause followed. "Before we begin," the princess said, "I will ask again. Why do you wear that armor?" Elias did not answer immediately. "When humans first left our home system," he said slowly, "we believed the universe would test us. We prepared for hostile worlds, dangerous species, unknown physics." He lifted his armored hand slightly, flexing his fingers. "But the greatest threat we found," he continued, "was not out there." The princess leaned forward. "It was ourselves," Elias said. Some of the nobles exchanged looks. The princess narrowed her eyes. "Explain," she demanded. "Our bodies adapt quickly," Elias said. "Our muscles grow dense under stress. Our reflexes sharpen under danger."
Our minds learn violence faster than peace. He lowered his hand.
"Armor became more than protection," he said. "It became a reminder, a limit, a rule we cannot forget." The princess scoffed lightly. "You expect us to believe humans are too strong to be trusted with their own skin?" Elias did not flinch. "I expect you to believe we learned caution the hard way," he said. She waved a hand sharply.
"Enough philosophy," she said. "Show us something real." At her signal, the Aurelian guards spread out.
Their staves hummed to life with controlled energy fields. "Begin," she said. The guards moved first. They were fast. Faster than most species could track. Two advanced from the front while one circled behind Elias. Their movements were practiced. precise. Elias did not attack. He stepped aside as the first guard struck, the energy staff passing inches from his chest. The second guard swung low. Elias jumped, not high, but just enough, and landed smoothly, his heavy armor barely slowing him. The third guard attacked from behind. Elias turned and caught the staff mid-swing. The arena went silent. The guard tried to pull back. He could not. Elias's grip was unyielding. With a controlled motion, Elias twisted the staff, disengaging its energy field, and gently pushed the guard backward. The alien stumbled, stunned but unharmed. Elias released the weapon and stepped back. "I do not wish to fight," he said calmly. The guards hesitated.
Continue, the princess ordered, though her voice was tighter now. The guards attacked together.
This time, Elias moved faster. He did not strike. He redirected. He stepped inside their reach, using his armored forearms to block and deflect. Each movement was precise, efficient. A push here. A precise calm, a shift there. He guided their momentum against them. Within seconds, 2 guards were on the ground, weapons disabled. The third stood frozen, staff raised but trembling. Elias stopped. "You may stop," he told the guard. The guard looked up at the princess. She hesitated, then nodded. The guard lowered his weapon and stepped back. The arena remained silent. "That was impressive," one advisor whispered. "Especially with such heavy armor." The princess stood slowly.
"You are skilled," she admitted, "but still wrapped in metal." She raised her voice again.
"Your movements are constrained," she said. "Your balance assisted."
"Your strength amplified." Elias looked up at her.
No, he said, none of this armor amplifies strength.
That drew murmurs.
"It stabilizes," Elias continued. "It limits joint output."
"It slows reaction speed." The princess stared.
You expect us to believe that armor slows you down?
"Yes," Elias said simply.
That is absurd, she said. Elias reached up and touched the locking seals near his neck.
"This arena," he said, "is designed to withstand elite combat." "Yes," the princess replied cautiously. "It is not designed," Elias said, "for unrestrained humans." A heavy silence followed. The princess felt something tighten in her chest. "You are claiming," she said slowly, "that without armor you would be, what? Faster? Stronger?"
Yes, Elias said. One of the advisors stepped forward urgently.
"Your Highness, perhaps this is unnecessary." The princess raised a hand to silence him. Her eyes never left Elias.
"You said this armor is not for protection," she said, "and not for strength." She leaned forward, voice low.
"Then prove it." Iolus did not respond. "You said the decision was not yours alone," she continued.
But I am offering controlled conditions. No weapons.
No enemies. She paused. Only truth. Elias stood motionless for a long moment. Then his internal calm activated. "Command," he said quietly. A pause followed, barely noticeable to the observers. Then a response came through his helmet. "Request acknowledged," the voice said. "Restrictions may be reduced under foreign observation. Partial release only. Maintain discipline." "Understood," Elias replied. He looked up at the princess. "I will not fully remove it," he said.
"But I will show you enough."
The princess's breath caught, just slightly. "Proceed," she said. Elias turned toward the center of the arena again. His hands moved to the armor locks. The sound of disengaging seals echoed softly. One plate loosened. Then another. The nobles leaned forward. The princess did not blink. The truth, long hidden behind steel, was about to step into the light. And for the first time since the human arrived, the princess felt something she had not expected at all. anticipation. The locks released with a deep mechanical sound that echoed across the arena. Elias removed the outer shoulder plates first. They detached smoothly and lowered themselves to the ground beside him. The weight that left his body was visible in the way his posture changed. He rolled his shoulders once, slowly, as if testing air after years underwater. Alien sensors across the arena spiked. "Readings are changing," a technician whispered from the control level. "Rapidly."
The princess leaned forward, her fingers gripping the railing.
Elias continued. He removed the forearm guards next. Thick metal slid away, revealing human skin beneath. Scarred, marked, but calm. The muscles in his arms shifted subtly, not swelling, but tightening, like coiled cables settling into place. A murmur spread through the crowd. "That density," one advisor said softly.
That is not normal. Elias unclasped the chest plate last. When it came free, the effect was immediate.
The air around him seemed to change. It was not dramatic in a loud way. There was no flash, no explosion of movement. Instead, it was like the arena itself had noticed him properly for the first time. He stood there in a reinforced inner suit, lighter and flexible, designed for basic protection only. His breathing was slow. His eyes were focused. The princess felt her earlier confidence slip.
Sensor report, she demanded. The technician swallowed.
His reaction time is increased by 30%. Muscle output climbing. Balance stabilizers no longer needed. "Impossible," another advisor muttered. Elias flexed his hands. He took one step forward. The floor beneath his foot did not crack. But the adaptive material adjusted instantly, as if preparing for more than it was built for.
"I will move," Elias said calmly. "Please do not mistake this for aggression."
The princess raised her hand sharply.
"All units stand ready."
The remaining training constructs along the arena walls powered up, their eyes lit with cold light. These were not set to spar. They were set to challenge. Elias looked at them. Then he moved. He crossed the arena faster than the eye could fully track. Not a blur, but close enough to feel unreal. One moment he stood at the center. The next, he was beside the nearest construct. He struck once, not a punch meant to destroy, a precise impact to a joint. The construct collapsed instantly, systems failing. Gasps filled the observation chamber. Before the second construct could react, Elias was already moving again. He slid beneath its raised arm, rose, and pressed 2 fingers into a sensor node at the base of its neck. The machine froze, power draining harmlessly. He stopped. The arena was silent except for the hum of inactive systems.
"That was," an advisor began, then stopped, unable to finish.
The princess's heart was beating faster now. She hated that she noticed.
"Again,"
she said.
"More."
The constructs advanced together this time. 4 of them, coordinated.
"Dangerous!" Elias exhaled.
His movements changed, not faster, but sharper, more deliberate. He did not dodge wide. He stepped in. He redirected force with minimal motion, turning heavy blows aside with angles so small they barely registered. He struck pressure points in machines designed to resist such tactics. He leapt, spun, landed without sound. Each construct fell. Not broken, disabled. Within seconds, all 4 lay motionless. Elias stood alone again.
He looked up at the princess. "This," he said, "is why we wear armor." The princess did not answer right away.
Her mind was racing. Everything she had believed about humans, about strength, about biology, about dependence on technology, was unraveling in front of her.
"You could have destroyed them," she said finally. "Yes," Elias replied.
"Why didn't you?"
"Because you did not ask me to," he said. That answer unsettled her more than the display itself.
She gestured sharply. "Reset the arena?"
she ordered. Increased difficulty. Several advisors turned in shock. Your Highness, do it, she said. The floor shifted. The gravity increased slightly, not enough to crush, but enough to test even elite warriors. New constructs emerged, heavier and faster. Elias felt the change immediately. His stance adjusted. This level, the princess said, is dangerous, even for us. I know, Elias replied. Then why continue? Because, he said, you are trying to understand. That made her pause. Begin, she said quietly. The constructs attacked. This time, Elias did not disable them instantly. He let them push him. He took hits, controlled, measured impacts that tested his balance. The floor creaked under sudden force. His muscles responded, adapting, compensating.
The sensors went wild. His body is adjusting in real time. The technician whispered.
Learning the gravity curve. Elias moved faster, stronger.
Not wildly, not recklessly, efficiently. He lifted one construct and redirected its weight into another. He used the arena itself, pushing off walls, landing with precision that ignored the increased gravity. Then he stopped. All constructs lay inactive. The arena floor was intact, but only just. Elias stood still, chest rising and falling. This is partial release, he said. Full removal would not be safe here. The princess believed him. She descended from the observation chamber slowly and entered the arena. Guards followed, but she waved them back. She stopped a few steps from Elias. He stood at rest now, not threatening, almost ordinary, almost. You are not enhanced, she said slowly. Not genetically, not mechanically.
No, Elias said.
We are trained. Trained to be weapons, she said. He shook his head, trained to know when not to be. That answer struck her deeper than she expected. She looked at the fallen constructs, at the undamaged arena, at the human who could have turned it all into wreckage but had not.
You mocked our armor, Elias said gently, but ours is not meant to impress.
She met his eyes. It is meant, he continued, to remind us what happens if we forget who we are. For a long moment the princess said nothing. Then she did something no one in the arena expected. She bowed her head slightly, not deeply, but sincerely. I misjudged you, she said. Elias inclined his head in return. You misjudged us, he corrected. The princess straightened. The court will need time, she said. What you have shown today changes many things. Yes, Elias agreed. It always does. She looked at him one last time, truly looking now. Not at the armor, not at the myth, but at the human beneath. And for the first time in her life, the princess of the Aurelian Empire understood something terrifying and humbling. Humanity's strength was not hidden by metal. It was restrained by choice. The arena was empty again. The training constructs had been removed, the adaptive floor repaired, and the observation platform sealed. Only faint marks remained where Elias had moved, pressed, and landed, marks that most species would not have been able to leave without weapons. The princess stood alone at the edge of the arena for a long time after Elias departed. Her advisors waited at a respectful distance. None of them spoke. They all sensed that something had shifted, not just in the room, but in the direction of the empire itself. At last, the princess turned.
Summon the council, she said quietly. All of them. The advisors hesitated.
Your Highness, one said carefully, this demonstration will disturb the balance. Some houses already fear humanity.
Others will see opportunity.
I am aware, the princess replied. That is why they must hear this from me. She began walking toward the exit, her steps slower than usual.
And send word to the human.
she added. I wish to speak with him again. Not as a test. As what, Your Highness? The advisor asked.
The princess paused.
As an equal, she said.
Elias was in his temporary quarters when the summons arrived. He sat on a simple bench, his armor partially reattached, though not fully sealed. He had chosen the lighter configuration, enough to maintain protocol without complete restriction. The inner suit clung comfortably, his body still adjusting after partial release. When the message came, he stood immediately. He followed the escort through the palace corridors once more. This time, the looks were different. No laughter. No mockery. Guards straightened as he passed. Servants paused their work. Some nobles watched from balconies above, their expressions cautious, curious, even respectful. The door to the private council chamber opened. The princess was already there. She stood near the wide window that overlooked the city, her hands clasped behind her back. The glow of the artificial star reflected off her armor, but it no longer looked like confidence alone. There was weight in her posture now. Captain Rourke, she said, turning to face him.
Your Highness,
Elias replied, inclining his head. The guard sealed the chamber and withdrew. For a moment, neither spoke. Then the princess broke the silence. When I first saw you, she said, I thought your armor was a symbol of fear. Elias remained silent, allowing her to continue. I thought humans survived by hiding behind metal and machines, she said. I thought strength meant elegance, control, beauty.
She gestured faintly toward the window.
My people built an empire on those beliefs.
She looked at him directly. You showed me something else.
Elias did not claim credit. You showed yourself, he said.
She exhaled slowly. Perhaps, she admitted, but you gave me the chance. She moved toward the table at the center of the chamber and activated the display. Holographic symbols appeared. Political maps, alliance structures, threat projections.
These are our borders, she said. These are the species watching us.
Some admire humanity. Some fear it. Some are already recalculating. She glanced at him. Your demonstration will spread. It cannot be contained.
I know, Elias said.
You could have hidden, she said. You could have refused. Yes, he agreed.
Why didn't you? She asked. Elias considered the question.
Because, he said, misunderstanding breeds fear. Fear breeds violence.
The princess nodded slowly. My advisors warn that other empires may see humanity as a threat, she said.
They may test you, provoke you.
They already have,
Elias replied. She looked at him sharply.
And we are still here, he said.
That earned a faint smile. The council chamber doors opened again as the Imperial Council entered. Leaders of the great houses took their seats, their expressions guarded. The princess moved to her place at the head. We begin, she said. The discussion was intense. Some council members argued that humanity was too dangerous to allow unrestricted movement within Aurelian space. Others argued that such power, when disciplined, was the strongest possible ally. One voice rose above the rest.
They claim restraint, an elder said, but restraint can fail.
The princess listened. Then she spoke. Restraint fails when it is forced, she said. Humans choose it. Murmurs spread. She turned slightly, gesturing to Elias. This individual stood in our arena, she continued. Unarmed. Unarmored beyond necessity. He demonstrated power without destruction. Strength without arrogance. She paused. He could have humiliated us, she said. He did not. The elder frowned.
And that alone earns trust?
No, the princess replied. But it earns attention. She straightened.
We will not provoke humanity, she declared, nor will we submit to it.
We will engage as equals.
The council fell quiet. After the meeting ended, Elias and the princess stood together once more, the chamber empty again. You have placed yourself at risk, Elias said.
Yes, she replied. Leadership often is.
She studied him thoughtfully. Your people, she said. Are they all like you? No, Elias said honestly. Some are better, some are worse.
That concerns me, she admitted. It should, he said.
It concerns us too. She looked away toward the city. My entire life, she said. I was taught that strength is something to display, something others must see to obey. She turned back to him. You showed me strength that hides itself. Elias nodded.
Hidden strength lasts longer, he said.
She took a breath. There is one more thing, she said.
Something I do not understand. Yes?
Elias asked. You could conquer, she said.
Your species could dominate many worlds.
Yes, Elias replied. Then why don't you? Elias was quiet for a long moment. Because, he said, we already tried. The princess stiffened. Long before the stars, he continued.
We fought each other for land, for belief,
for pride. His voice remained calm, but there was weight behind it.
We learned that winning does not mean surviving, he said, and surviving does not mean becoming monsters.
She felt the truth of those words settle inside her.
You are afraid of yourselves,
she said softly. Yes, Elias replied.
Enough to be careful,
she nodded. I think, she said slowly, that may be the most frightening thing of all. He did not argue. That evening, the princess stood on her balcony, watching the lights of the city below. Messages continued to arrive from distant systems. Reactions, questions, warnings. Humanity had revealed itself. Not loudly, not violently, but clearly. She thought of the armor, the mockery, her own laughter, and she felt something she rarely allowed herself to feel: humility. Far away, Elias stood aboard the human vessel preparing for departure. His armor was fully sealed again now, familiar and grounding.
Report, a voice asked through his comm. Contact successful, Elias replied.
Understanding achieved, temporarily. Risk assessment? High, he said, but necessary. The ship's engines hummed to life. As it lifted away from the Aurelian capital, the princess watched from below. For the first time, she did not see a human hidden behind armor. She saw a species strong enough to wear chains of its own making, and never forget why they were needed. And she knew the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The human vessel moved steadily through the void, gliding past the shimmering clouds of a nearby nebula. The stars were bright, countless points of cold light, yet none of them seemed to command the human's attention. His mind was already on what had occurred on the Aurelian homeworld. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the bridge, his armor once again fully sealed, the familiar weight comforting. He felt the hum of the ship's engines beneath his feet, the gentle vibrations through reinforced plating. It was ordinary and predictable. Everything a human vessel should feel like. Yet his thoughts were far from ordinary. The demonstration in the Imperial arena had changed more than the princess's opinion. Reports from distant worlds had begun to circulate even before the ship left orbit. Every major Aurelian system had already heard whispers of the human who could fight without aggression, disable machines without harm, and leave even the proudest alien princess speechless. Elias knew this story would spread further. The galaxy was small, and news traveled faster than even their fastest ships. Some species would see humans as a threat. Others would see them as potential allies. Yet no one could ignore them anymore. Meanwhile, the princess returned to her throne, alone this time. She sat quietly, her eyes focused not on the court before her, but on the lessons learned from a single human being. Never had she underestimated someone so completely, and never had her arrogance been so thoroughly dismantled. She thought of the way he moved, the calm control in every step, the subtle grace beneath the weight of his armor. She thought of how he had redirected force rather than met it with force, how he had stood still when he could have destroyed anything in the arena, and had chosen not to. For the first time, she understood a truth her people had never taught her. Power was not measured by dominance, but by restraint. Strength, when chosen wisely, could inspire, not terrify. It could protect, not oppress. Her council advisors watched her carefully, waiting for her judgment. They expected declarations of caution, perhaps fear, perhaps orders to restrict contact with humanity. But the princess spoke in a tone they did not anticipate. "Prepare to engage," she said, her voice calm but resolute. "Not as subjects, not as observers. As equals." Murmurs swept through the council chamber. Some advisors looked skeptical, others uncertain, but none dared question her further. The princess's gaze remained fixed on the stars, imagining the human vessel already leaving orbit, already carrying a message humanity did not even know it had delivered. Days passed. Messages from the Aurelian systems began to arrive, each one reinforcing the same pattern. Humans were dangerous, yes, but not in the way anyone expected. They were dangerous because they could have been ruthless, but they chose discipline. They could have dominated, but they chose understanding. The princess found herself thinking constantly of Captain Elias Rourke. She recalled his words about restraint, about the lessons humanity had learned through centuries of hardship and self-conflict. And she realized that this knowledge was something her empire lacked. In private, she convened her closest advisors. Maps, star charts, and intelligence reports filled the room. Yet the discussion was not about warfare. It was about diplomacy, about strategy, and about a new way to see the galaxy.
"This species," the princess said, "has shown us the meaning of choice in strength. They could rule through fear, but they do not.
They survive not through dominance, but through understanding. We must learn from them."
Some advisors frowned. "Highness, we cannot treat them lightly. They could become the galaxy's greatest threat if provoked."
"Provocation is not necessary," she replied. "Respect is sufficient."
"Observation is sufficient. If we overestimate our own abilities, we may lose the lesson entirely." Meanwhile, aboard his vessel, Elias reviewed reports from the Aurelian systems. Every detail was recorded, every response catalogued. He knew the galaxy would test humans eventually, but he was confident that restraint and discipline would always be their greatest weapons. He thought of the princess, of the awe in her eyes, the quiet respect she had begun to show, the realization that humans were more than their armor. She was not weak, not naive. She was learning, just as he had hoped she would. The story of his demonstration had already begun to circulate beyond the Aurelian Empire. Other species had received word, and reactions were mixed. Some were curious, some cautious, and some fearful. But all of them were talking. Humanity could no longer be ignored. Elias prepared his ship for the next stage of its mission. Orders were precise, yet flexible. Diplomacy and caution guided every movement. He understood the balance of fear and respect, power and restraint. It was the same balance that had allowed humanity to survive for so long. The princess, watching from her throne, received updates about the galaxy's response. Each report reminded her of what she had witnessed firsthand. Humans were not the crude, unrefined species she had once dismissed. They were disciplined, powerful, and capable of incredible control over themselves. Her admiration grew. Not for the technology they brought, nor for the brute strength they could wield, but for the choice to hold back when they could have conquered. That restraint was the true measure of power. As days turned into weeks, the princess began preparing a new council directive, a new policy of engagement with humanity. She would not offer submission, nor would she assume superiority. She would approach them as equals, with the understanding that a species capable of such discipline demanded respect. When she finally sent a message to Elias, it was simple but profound. Your people have taught us a lesson we will never forget. Meet me at the neutral station near Dovari system.
We have much to discuss.
Elias received the message in silence, nodding to himself. The princess understood the principle of strength. She recognized the value of restraint. And now, she sought to learn more. The galaxy, vast and full of stars, had shifted slightly. The balance of power had changed. Not through conquest, not through violence, but through understanding. Elias prepared for the meeting, knowing that humanity's reputation had already reached beyond anything the princess had imagined. They would not dominate through fear. They would not destroy through pride. They would survive through choice, through intelligence, and through the quiet but undeniable power of restraint. When the neutral station appeared on the view screen, Elias could see small fleets gathered, curious observers, representatives of multiple species. They all awaited the human who had left the princess speechless. He thought briefly of the princess, wondering if she understood the full implications of what they had begun. She did. In her own way, she already saw that humanity's strength was unlike any other in the galaxy. It was not visible in their armor. It was not measured in their weapons. It was measured in their choice. Elias smiled faintly, the stars reflected in his visor. Humanity had not boasted. Humanity had not rushed to prove itself. Yet the galaxy would never forget the day a single human chose restraint over destruction and left an alien princess completely speechless. And that, Elias knew, was only the beginning. The galaxy had learned, finally, that humans were not to be underestimated. They were disciplined, they were controlled, and they were capable of actions far beyond expectation. Not because they were larger, faster, or more advanced, but because they had chosen, generation after generation, to be more than what the universe assumed they could be. The princess, back on her throne, gazed up at the stars. Her empire would change. Her strategies would shift, and every time she remembered the human in the arena, standing calm, restrained, yet overwhelmingly powerful, she would know the truth. Humanity's strength lay not in what they showed, but in what they chose not to show. And across the stars, Captain Elias Rourke prepared to meet her again, a human who had changed the course of an empire without a single blow, and whose presence would echo in the galaxy for years to come. For humanity, the journey had only begun. And for the princess, the lesson would last a lifetime. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. The story was over, yet it had only just begun.